is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the third and final installment of the back-to-back-to-back episodes to kick off Season 2 of the Lob It Up Podcast. We are your hosts, Tobias, Siavash, and Chris. Just like the Lakers in the early 2000s, just like your pesky Chicago Bulls twice in the 90s, and the Celtics, I think, in the 60s and the 50s. We're on a three-peat here. We're on that three-peat episode.
Sir.
Boys, how are you doing today? Siavash, you go first.
Oh, I was just about to yell out Chris first, but you put me under pressure. I'm good, man. I'm good. We had a really good weekend. It was fun, and I'm back. The season's about to start. We're recording this on Tuesday morning. The season's about to start tonight.
Yeah.
We got some good games to kick off tonight, so it's exciting, day. And we're gonna get into the season. We're gonna get the Lob It Up going. We're back in it. Talk to me, Chris. How you doing?
I'm doing good, Yes, excited to get back into it. It's excited to have the season kick back open tonight. So, it'll give me some more things to do now, not just solely watching one sport, but we're good.
And you know what's crazy too? Now that I'm just thinking about it, we're coming up on the 1-year anniversary of the TJ Warren highlight reel for our guy Chris
Yeah.
here.
Yeah,
The acceleration of
Hey,
the
happens.
efforts and the talent of TJ Warren.
happens.
But the crazy
I think
thing
we're
is that was
past
actually
that.
2 seasons ago. That's only a year ago, but it was 2 seasons ago.
I know.
Obviously with COVID and everything was rushed, but I like it. They did what they had to. We're back on a regular scheduled program. We got Ben Simmons in the gym going through practices with Philly with his phone in his pocket. Probably one of the most comical things I've seen in the preseason era of NBA. But to talk about the preseason, to talk about the future of the NBA, the future of this year's NBA, we're going to break down the awards. We're going to talk about the MVP, Rookie of the Year, Six-Man, DPOY, all that stuff, give our predictions. I was talking with Steve Ash before we started recording. I think I do have a few off the board picks when it comes to these awards. I think there's 2 picks that, for both yourselves, you'll be happy with. Maybe surprised that I've chosen those guys. But Steve Ash, what do you think about, this year's awards? Do you think it's kind of a lock for every single award, or is it maybe more of an open race this year?
We talked about it right before we started recording, and I really believe that aside from one award, which is probably the Rookie of the Year, there aren't any awards that you can say this player is a lock to win it. We have a lot of candidates for all of them, and I think it's going to be an interesting conversation. I'm excited to see what you guys pick. And last year, Chris had an infamous back-to-back Chris Boucher pick for Six-Man and most of
He
the
almost.
I'm not hating. He did
Okay.
a great job. He was a great most improved
that's what I'm
and
saying.
Six-Man.
And
he was a great
MVP
candidate.
and Coach of the Year.
Okay,
And
and
Rookie of the Year.
he even got that. He worked so hard last year. He got that the sharpshooter badge or whatever. Okay, he worked hard. He's got badges now in 2K.
Man had an 89 3-pointer in 2K22.
Exactly.
That's
He
fine.
scored the most points for Chris in that one game we played.
Ridiculous.
All right, well, to kind of, go back to, I think, what was the first episode of, the Lob It Up podcast in the season 1, I'll bring back the infamous saying, let's start from the back of the awards, hit the pause, and we'll talk about Coach of the Year. Who do you think, Chris, you can start it off, who do you think is going to win Coach of the Year? I think, like we were saying, I think it's a lot more open than last year. But I want to know
If
who
he
you
says
think
Nick
the
Nurse.
front runner. Yeah, some Toronto
No,
flavor in there.
honestly, I think just with everything going on with this team right now, revolving a certain player and whatnot, I feel like if Steve Nash can lead the already winning, they're already a very, very strong team, but if he can just say, what, we're doing this without Kyrie, we're going to get shit in check, we're going to make sure we get these wins, and we're going to come off with a better record than we had last year, I could definitely see Steve Nash being awarded that, just because, it's going to be first good full regular good season. No?
I know that this is only Steve Nash's second season, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So this is probably a little premature.
Yeah,
But I did see
but
someone proposing it. Do you think if they get out in the first 2 rounds that he's fired?
I don't think so. I don't think they'll can him like that quick. But then again, you already had a little bit of that controversy back when they named him head coach for the Nets like so soon over a few other
Yeah.
candidates. So I don't know. But
I just wonder with a team that's that high level and has that much talent, I wonder if if they can't get it done, if they can't get over a certain hump. Again, I know it's only his second year.
Yeah.
And last year was, a difficult year for everybody. This year is going to be interesting with possibly no Kyrie. How does that, go about? But I just had wondered maybe if they get out in the first round, maybe they look to maybe move on from Steve Nash early.
We'll see, but I don't know. I don't think that'll happen, but we'll see. You never know.
Yeah. See
Because
about
of the circumstances, I doubt that's going to be the case because he's very well liked by the players and the organization. And I think because of the whole Kyrie situation, maybe there'll be more excuses for him not to be in that situation. But if they're in any other situation, I think, yes, he would have got fired if they don't do as well as they expected to.
Yeah.
For my pick, I have 3 names written down.
Okay.
I'll start with the most... Actually, I'll just go through them. I got Steve Kerr as the first name I got written down.
Okay.
The Warriors, I think, if they can end up anywhere between the 3rd to the 4th seed, if they're higher, then for sure he's going to get it. But if they're anywhere between that range, I think he has a great case to be made. That team does have 2 great players, as in Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, and a bunch of role players that we've always respected, like Andre Iguodala.
Yep.
Draymond is not really a role player, but he's a great leader. James Wiseman, we're excited to see what he's going to do this year. But Steve Kerr is the first name. Eric Spoelstra, we've spoken about the Heat before. If they can make that great jump, he's already a very well-respected coach in the league.
Yeah.
And for my dark horse, and I am a homer with this, it's a Billy Donovan. If we can end up anywhere near the 4th seed, Billy Donovan's my pick for the coach of the year.
He's a good coach, too. Like, being in OKC,
coach.
he was a great coach for them. So, I don't think that's far-fetched. You even saying it's a dark horse, I don't think it's a dark horse. I think that's a fair choice.
It's a tough conference, and with the East, if we can end up anywhere near 4th, I think a lot of people have to get that credit, including the players and the coaching staff.
Yeah, well, for myself, I think that it's going to be kind of on line with your last pick there, Steve Ash. I think it's going to be a new coach, whether it be a new coach to the team or if it's a brand new coach that's never been in the league before as a head coach. So I have 2 guys written down. Again, I respect the Billy Donovan pick. I think this team's success is make or break on this coach and how the players are integrated with him. The first pick is Jason Kidd. Just got hired by the Dallas Mavericks. I think, this will be the 3rd time we've seen Jason Kidd kind of take the ropes as a head coach. I think him being with Frank Vogel a couple years ago on that championship run with LA, who's a great defensive-minded coach, I think he learned a lot. I think he's a well-liked guy, but I know that when he was in Milwaukee, there was kind of a bit of uncertainty on how he was received by the players. I know Giannis really liked him, but by the rest of the team. So I think the success of the Dallas Mavericks is heavily dependent, on Jason Kidd. But my guy that I think is gonna win Coach of the Year this year,
Don't be the Celtics,
is actually Ime Udoka.
I knew
Dude,
it.
the
This
way
guy's a Celtics fan.
The way,
bro.
man, they might be like my second team or something. But no, I like. I don't know a lot about Ime Udoka, but when I was doing my research, on this pick, he was there for the he was an assistant coach or something for Team USA basketball, and how he was kind of interacting with the other players, the other star players. A lot of the players like him. A lot of the players respect him. He's a hard coach. I believe he was within the Knicks organization as an assistant a couple years ago. He he demands a lot from the reports I was reading. He demands a lot out of his players. I think he's going to give, Tatum a bit of a leash, a bit of a longer leash to go off. And I think he's going to kind of really keep Marcus Smart in check, which I think will be a big piece as well. Marcus Smart's role has kind of been a little blurry in the past because he's been a guy that can be a starter. I think he's better suited as, that leader of the second unit. But I'm going to say that my pick is Ime Udoka for the Boston Celtics. Yeah.
How are they going to win? How's he going to win Coach of the Year if they're the 10th seed?
Okay, relax. That is so disrespectful. That is so
That was my one takeaway after that episode. I think we rated the Celtics really low.
Yeah, you did.
No, we did.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll move on to the next category. The next category, we can go one or two ways. Do you want to do six man or do you want to do most improved first?
Most improved.
Most improved? Okay, so we'll start off with most improved, or we'll follow up with most improved. Sivash, I want you to start this one. Most improved player of the year. Who do you think it's going to be?
I have two names written down. There's an easy answer and there's a dark horse.
It's an easy
For the
answer.
easy answer,
Totally.
I think it's a very easy answer, and I think if you check, I know Tobias does a bunch of betting. I think the lines also follow this answer, and the answer that I've written down is Michael Porter Jr. His role within the within the Nuggets organization is going to be leveled up now because of the Jamal Murray injury, and now Jokic is an MVP, and he's going to be played differently than he was before. So they need another person to step up, and I think he's ready to take that jump. He just got paid the big bag, so let's see if he's going to outperform that. And for my dark horse, I got the young guy in Miami who compared himself to Luka and Trey. That's a different level of confidence. I don't know what time he was on, but that's kind of weird confidence. And that guy is Tyler Hero.
Yeah.
Okay.
We talked about that. Somebody was asking if he was comparing himself to those guys because of alphabetical order, or I don't know what that was about.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, I'm excited to see what he does this year.
I'm glad that you mentioned about the sports betting and the line, because I did want to bring that up while we were going through this. So to jump back quickly to the coach of the year, the top four picks are Steve Nash in order. Steve Nash, Spoelstra, Kerr, and then Billy Donovan. Those are the top four favorites.
I got three names in there?
Exactly, right?
Look at us go.
What are your thoughts, Chris, on Steve Nash's selection? Obviously, I think we probably are all in agreement that MPJ is that guy, but more so the Tyler Hero pick.
I don't know, man. I think I still need to see more from Hero, and I need to see like a little bit more consistency now. Again, with the moves that Miami has made during this offseason, I feel like they'll definitely give Hero like a better chance to kind of like shine, and he can just kind of sit back, do his thing that like he's supposed to do. And then as far as like my picks for that, like 100%, I was looking at Michael Porter there too for the exact same reasons. You have that injury, so this man is gonna need to step up. He's gonna need to show us like he's ready to do this. He's ready to become one of those key players in that rotation, and I think he can definitely do it. My other pick for this, and I know you guys again would probably flame me because you always flame me for every fucking
Don't be
pick.
Chris Boucher.
No,
Can't pick him 2 years in a row.
Not this year. No, this year I was also kind of going like through players and stuff like that, and obviously I want to give like a little bit of love to like my Raptors, so I was kind of looking at OG's way a little bit, just because OG is already like a phenomenal defender. I think if he can just show us that he's going to, or that he can evolve to that go-to guy and actually be that guy that we wanted Siakam to be, I think he could kind of make it happen. But I've got more money on Michael Porter. That's all.
That's a good shout.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I like those picks, and to go over the line, the top three are Michael Porter Jr., Kevin Porter Jr. for the Houston Rockets, and Jordan Poole for the Golden State Warriors. Again, totally agree with MPJ. I think, like you mentioned, with Jamal Murray being out, that'll only excel his production. I think last year when Jamal Murray was out, he shot like 49% from three. He was like averaging 18 points. I think he can easily be, a 22 point a game producer. And I actually agree with you, Chris. I think OG could quite potentially, if MPJ, if he doesn't live up to it or whatever happens, I think OG is a great pick. I think with Kyle Lowry being gone, that puts Fred VanVleet in sort of the ball handler and ball distributor position. So I think that gives OG more of a potential scoring role. Again, one of the great defenders on that team and already a great defensive unit. I think OG has the potential to also put up 20 points per game this season. So I love that pick in OG and Anunoby.
Thank you. Look at finally
Look
getting
at
a little respect around here. It's crazy.
Finally.
All right, LeBron, relax. Okay, so now
I'm just
actually,
that kid from Durham. All right, just relax.
see, I want to get your opinion on the selection of OG from both Chris and I. What's your thoughts on that?
I think that's a great show. As I mentioned, it's a name that most people will not think about when we talk about. And again, Raptors, nobody's really thinking about them. So again, no disrespect. It's just the way it is right now.
That's fine. Yeah,
and I mean that in a good way because I think OG is going to surprise a lot of people. I follow a number of Raptors fans on Twitter, and I do it to laugh at them. But I've been seeing a lot of clips of OG's practices and him working on his dribble moves, and I think he's going to surprise a lot of people. So I think that goes along with my Tyler Hero pick.
Yeah.
I think all those three names are going to be really close.
Yeah. I think OG's 3-point also, like his 3-point shot, also took a big jump last season as well. So I'm excited to see that. All right, 6th man of the year. You guys want me to kick this one off?
Sure.
So we've already mentioned again. I have a couple names written down for this as well. We've already mentioned a couple of these guys. Tyler Herro, I think, is one that could be 6th man of the year. Marcus Smart, I think, could be 6th man of the year. However, the guy I'm going to go for, and I mentioned that I'm going to give some love to both you guys, I'm going to go for D Rose. I know, Sivash, that's your guy, D Rose, former Chicago Bull. I think him being in New York, Kemba's there. I think that's a perfect setup for him to be the leader of the second unit. He's not going to start over Kemba. Him in a 6-man role is perfect. We saw what he was able to do in Detroit and New York last year. I think him with not reduced minutes, but a reduced responsibility allows him to be a leader and still produce a lot of points.
I like that. I like that a lot because Derrick Rose is also my pick for 6th man.
No way.
Yeah, swear to God. No, because I was up in the air between Rose and Clarkson because, I think if Clarkson keeps doing the things he was doing last year, once you kind of win like one 6th man of the year, like I feel like it's a little easier to continue winning that award.
Well, it's like we look at the 2010s. Like, what was it dominated by? It was dominated by Jamal Crawford and Lou Williams, back to back. So 100% Jordan Clarkson.
When it rains, it pours 6th man awards and stuff. So, but yeah, no, exactly. With like Derrick Rose, like coming in off like the bench and commanding that second line, easily could just be a huge usage just to New York offensively and things like that. So just give him a few standout performances, and like that'll easily probably improve his case for winning this award.
100%.
Yeah.
I'm the Bulls fan here, but you guys love D Rose, man.
I know.
think he was you guys' pick for last year as well.
No, I don't think so.
Nice.
I don't think
no, I had the Jazz influence last year. This year,
I have my
You had
list
the
literally
Jazz
right.
fever.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's actually awkward. I do have him from last year.
That's what I'm saying.
Looking at my notes. Wow.
For this year, I'm gonna go with a name that you've already mentioned in another category, and I think there's a lot of noise around this guy. The success of this team early on is gonna depend on this guy, so I'm not sure how much he's gonna come off the bench at first. But we're going with the second Klay Thompson, Jordan Poole. He's been titled that name because he's been practicing with Klay a lot, and people are saying that he's gonna fit into that role very well this coming season. And yeah, I mean, he's already dropped like a bunch of 30-point games in the preseason. So I can see him improving, not as much as I want him to win most improved, but he's going to be a great sixth man of the year.
Yeah, now I'm biased. I have Jordan Poole in my fantasies, so I want him to do really well. The only thing I not worry about, but I wonder when it comes to Jordan Poole is the amount of minutes he plays. Obviously, when Clay comes back, he'll take that spot on the bench, that six-man spot on the bench. But until Clay comes back, he'll be that guy. And I guess they're kind of now crowning them the Splash Triplets instead of the Splash Brothers.
Oh, the Splash Triplets. That's weird.
But speaking at the line, we got Jordan Clarkson, Joe Ingles, and Tyler Harrow as the three top favorites for Sixth Man of the Year. Okay. Derrick Rose and Jordan Poole follow right behind, though. Okay. Moving on to Defensive Player of the Year. You know, we've got a lot of good candidates out there. Rudy Gobert, widely known as one of the best defensive players in the league. Ben Simmons, whatever happens with him, still you have to give him his flowers when it comes to a great defensive player. But Chris, who do you have as the 2021-2022 Defensive Player of the Year?
So this year, I am rolling with Mr. Bam Adebayo. Bam is extremely athletic as it is when it comes to being a defender. You know, he can guard the centers, he can hop out, guard the wings. But now I think, too, with the addition of Kyle Lowry, and Kyle Lowry also being a very strong defender, they're going to be able to guard those pick and rolls like a lot better. And I think that's going to be huge for this guy. But he was already like the backbone of Miami's defense. And honestly, I just don't want to hear anybody say Rudy Gobert. Fuck that guy.
Yeah, I think, and not so much with, you know, most improved, because you can really only win it once. Not so much with six man, because as we talked about, it gets recycled throughout the decade. But I think with awards like Defensive Player of the Year and MVP, there sometimes becomes a voter fatigue, where you know, a guy wins it 1 or 2 years, then it's like, well, we don't really want to give it to him. Like, we're gonna start to see that with Giannis, I believe. We saw it with LeBron. You know, you recognize him as one of the greats, but, you know, let's give the award to somebody else. So I think people will start to get a little voter fatigue when it comes to Defensive Player of the Year and Rudy Gobert.
Yeah, and I think it's just a little long overdue, too, for Bam, because Bam has been putting in that work. So
I wouldn't say long overdue. I think he's made great strides this past year. We got to think he's still only like 24, 25, so he hasn't been in the league that long.
That's super long,
Steve Ash, go ahead.
I just want to agree with everything you said about Rudy Gobert. I would, if you actually had to put a gun to my head and say, hey, pick somebody, I'd be like, yo, listen, if it's going to be Rudy Gobert, just shoot me, bro. I'm not picking.
I'm tired. I'm done with
it. It ain't worth that shit.
Yeah.
I don't want to see this guy be known as this great defensive player when he goes to the playoffs and he's trash.
He gets cooked. Yeah.
So I have one name written down, even though I want to, you know, throw some other names in there, like a little Draymond Green.
Mm-hmm.
Like a little, I don't know, like a little Ben Simmons if he comes back with a phone in his pocket. But I'm going with Anthony Davis. He's been my pick for almost 3 years now. He's been getting robbed for 3 years.
Yeah, that's true.
Last season he was injured too, so to be fair, he couldn't even compete. But the year before that, I think he should have got it.
I think Anthony Davis has a great opportunity this year. Like, he's on a team with a bunch of geriatrics, so you know, he's really got to be that lockdown guy. You don't really have an immense amount of defensive players on the Lakers, so you know, with Frank Vogel being a great defensive coach and Anthony Davis, he is a good defensive player, he's a great defensive big. I think he definitely will be able to get that spotlight on him. Obviously, it's the Lakers, there's always going to be the spotlight on him.
Sorry, you said they don't have a lot of great defensive players.
Correct.
Have you never heard of Carmelo Anthony?
Yeah, that's exactly who I was thinking of when I said that. I have a few people written down. I think Joel Embiid is one. I think with the loss of Ben Simmons, because I think that is inevitable, I think it puts the spotlight on Joel to potentially have MVP type level, but also Defensive Player of the Year type level year, if he chooses to do that. Another thing we saw with last year with Joel Embiid, it was him and Jokic near the end for MVP, but unfortunately, but Jokic played all the games, and unfortunately, Joel did not, so it kind of, slid over to Jokic. Another guy I have that I would say is the greatest defensive player in the league. I wouldn't want to go against him is Giannis. I think he's still the best defensive player in the league and one of the best offensive players in the league. I think he's very deserving of it. But I'm telling you, I think, before we recorded this, we heard some weird audio come in through our Discord. I think that was a hacker because, once again, Chris has stolen my pick. I also think that Bam Adebayo could win Defensive Player of the Year.
Wow.
I think he guards 1 through 5. I think, you mentioned Kyle Lowry. It then takes pressure off Bam to be more of a low ball facilitator or even a scorer. Like, he's still going to score. But I think, pairing him with PJ Tucker as well in the front court, I think that will, maybe shine a light on Miami and shine a light on Bam, because he is a really great defensive player. I mean, like, he's easily probably, besides Giannis, one of the best guys to guard 1 through 5. Like, I guess, and Ben Simmons as well. But we talk about Rudy Gobert. Like, I just watched a clip of Rudy Gobert getting cooked by Devin Booker. Like, this has to be considered when we're talking about Defensive Player of the Year. You need to be able to guard 1 through 5, not just, okay, you can guard the paint, because that's kind of irrelevant. You know what I mean? But yeah, I totally agree. Bam Adebayo, I think he could get it for sure.
Look at that. Let me hack into biases.
I know, right?
So, little mirror, install a little camera.
Yeah, exactly. Did you comment on, or did you want to comment on the Bam selection, Siavash? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it's terrible.
You think it's terrible?
I'm kidding. I think,
Okay.
no, he's a top 5 defender in the league for sure.
Yeah.
I just don't see it. That's one thing that I'm willing to bet with that.
He's willing to bet. Did you hear that, Tobias? He's willing to bet. Are you a
What's the
betting
bet,
man?
though?
If one of our picks wins, the other person, like, you guys are on the same pick, and I'm on the other pick. So if one of us wins, the other two.
What's your
money.
What's your final pick? There was Anthony Davis.
Yeah,
I'll take that. I'll take that. Adebayo versus Davis.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and then if
I think
nobody-
Bam is great.
Yeah.
I just think he still is like 1 or 2 years away. He's still a young guy.
Now, speaking of bets and looking at the line, Rudy Gobert is the highest favored, then Ben Simmons, then Giannis. Great value, I'm telling you. You can get Bam Adebayo at plus 1,400 right now. So you toss down $5. $5 gets you $75. So if you want to bet, you got
good.
Bet 365. Quick plug. Go toss some money on
Quick
Bam
plug.
Adebayo right now.
Where's AD on that?
AD, I think he's like 4th or 5th. Yeah, he's 4th. So he's plus 700. So he's half the odd. So essentially, if you wanted to go by the books, I get plus 2 odds. So if we go 5 and I win, I get $10. If you win, you only get 5. But we'll go 5 and 5 because we're clean like that.
Yeah, sure.
All right, going on to the next category. I think, again, like we mentioned, it's between 2 players. However, something tells me that there's a bias coming from one of you guys, and you might try to slide in a different pick. But Siavash, go ahead and start off with who you think is going to be Rookie of the Year.
Scotty Barnes. I'm kidding. I'm not going with that.
Wow.
Someone
Honestly,
might.
hey, come on,
Someone might.
Come on now.
A homer over here.
Come on now.
I think this is, as you said, a 2-man race. It's going to be between Cade Cunningham and Jalen Green. I think both of them are playing on teams that are relying on their offense. Maybe the Pistons a little less because of the guys like Jeremy Grant and Killian Hayes and these players that are already been there. But with the Rockets, I think it's just an open court for Kevin Porter Jr. and Jalen Green.
Yep.
And for that reason, I am going with Jalen Green. I think the Rockets are going to be an exciting team. I can see him dropping 40 points here and there. So that's why he's going to be my pick for the Rookie of the Year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I totally agree. I'm on the Jalen Green train. I think I think Cade is the better overall player, the better all around player. But Jalen Green is an electric scorer. Like we talk about guys like a Zach LaVine, like a Bradley Beal. This guy can just get buckets. And when it comes to Rookie of the Year, I think at least it's what's sexier, what's flashier, what's a highlight reel, right? So you're gonna see more of those plays from Jalen Green and company than you would from Cade Cunningham, because I think the system in Detroit, and obviously you would know what that's like, Chris, with Dwayne Casey being there. He was a former Raptors coach. I just think there'll be more freedom for Jalen Green to go out there and be explosive. But yeah, either way, that's who it is. It's really, there's no other selection.
Okay.
Go ahead, Chris.
Go ahead, yeah. Well, obviously, I'm not going in the same direction as both of you guys. We do have this player who can, I feel like if his team can actually get him on the floor, utilize him a bit better. I'm only like recently, like after talking with like some of my friends and I'm watching like videos, things like that. I'm actually a little higher on this guy now, but I'm gonna go with Evan Mobley.
Oh,
Cavaliers, yes.
okay.
Yeah, yeah. Honestly, I can see it. Like he obviously hasn't gotten quite like the fanfare, say like Cade or like Jalen Green and stuff like that. Because obviously, when you're talking about this award, a lot of the times it is gonna go to either that first or second overall pick. It's always most of the times it's gonna go to those guys. But just kind of like watching him, like he is just like his defensive presence amazing, and I think his offensive skills are just like a little like underappreciated, but like he's gonna go out, he's gonna do it on both ends of the floor for you. It's just a matter of if Cleveland is actually gonna be able to use him, since they have so many bigs right now, and it's like that's the only thing that I think that's gonna really be holding them back is the amount of bigs. Now if Cleveland can maybe say, we're gonna prioritize some of these younger guys, get them in there, get them playing, I think he could be like a surprising player for this year.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like I'm a big Evan Mobley guy. Played for the USC Trojans. I had them going quite a deep ways in the March Madness last year, and I was right about that. Not to flaunt, but I'm glad you touched on it. Something I'm very passionate about is how idiotic both the Orlando Magic organization is and more importantly the Cleveland Cavaliers organization is. They have 80 big men. They just traded for Lauri Markkanen. They got Jared Allen. They got Kevin Love still. They got Evan Mobley. I just think, like you said, the usage is going to be too hard. It's not going to allow Evan Mobley to get the minutes, to get the touches.
Yeah.
Because they, even if we're looking at their guards, they got Sexton, they got Garland, now they got a Kuro as well. Like they do have a lot of players that will want the ball, will be active with the ball. Whereas a guy like even Cade, who has to share it with a guy like Jeremy Grant, but more importantly Jalen Green, I think they'll get more touches, they'll get more usage out of the ball than Evan Mobley. What's your thoughts on that, Savash?
I agree. I think it's going to be hard trying to play him behind guys like Jared Allen, Kevin Love, Lauri Markkanen. I don't know. Maybe he'll actually play point guard. That would be interesting to see if they run like a 4 big man lineup.
Evan Mobley?
Listen, bro.
Wow.
The Cavs are like a
They're
2K,
weird, yeah.
They're like a 2K My League team where the kid is like, hey, what would happen if I do 5 big men in a lineup?
Yeah.
And then you put the guy with the best passing rating on as a point guard. So.
Yeah, well, it's definitely not Kevin Love, because we've seen him whip the ball around a couple times this past few seasons. He's been mad at his teammates. But I thought you were gonna pick Scotty Barnes, your hometown pick. But that would have been my same reasoning as it was with Evan Mobley. I just think with usage, I think there's a lot of forwards there. Scotty Barnes won't get the amount of usage that a Jalen Green or a Cade Cunningham is. And if I was to pick a dark horse, I would probably pick the guy that Toronto should have drafted, Jalen Suggs, out in Orlando.
I don't know. We'll
Yo,
see.
he's
Honestly,
gonna hate Jalen Suggs for the rest of his career.
I'm not gonna hate Jalen Suggs. I don't care about Jalen Suggs. Like again, like I like the pick. I like the pick that Raptors went with Scotty Barnes, and I think Scotty Barnes is gonna have a very surprising season. It's gonna surprise like a lot of people. So that's all. That's all I'm saying.
One thing I will say about Scotty Barnes is just outside the court, the way he's fitting in Toronto is incredible. Like, he looks like a
Yeah,
Toronto man.
for sure.
Yeah.
He just like that. He looks like he's a perfect fit.
He's
for
a
his
very
team.
charismatic dude as well. So I mean, that's
Definitely.
good to have in Toronto. All right, now the big one. Pause. MVP, most valuable player. Now the problem sometimes with most valuable player is it's not always the best player in the league, and we had this discussion. I don't know if it was on the podcast or if it was just between ourselves. We were talking about Steph and where does Steph fit. Steph didn't make the playoffs with the Golden State Warriors. They made the play-in, but they didn't get into the playoffs. However, Steph had an amazing year. So is it the best player? Is it the most valuable player? And how do you quantify that? Most valuable player. You guys want me to go first?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sure.
I've got a few people here.
Okay.
And again, going back to our first pick in Coach of the Year, I think this player could win and probably will win if he doesn't this year, within the next 2 years. Luka. I think if he's a top 4 seed in the West, which I don't have Dallas being a top 4 seed in the West, but I think if he gets there, I think 100%. He could be MVP or MVP candidate. The problem is around Kristaps Porzingis. The problem is how do they integrate themselves in the new Jason Kidd system, and how does Jason Kidd fit with Luka? Another guy I want to give recognition to, because again, I think he is still the best player in the league. But we talked about voter fatigue, is Giannis. I don't really know what to say about Giannis. Like, this guy's already the best player in the league, comes into preseason. I know preseason is preseason, but this guy's making jump shots, like, from 3. He's rolling up and shooting from 3. Like,
Yeah.
that's scary, dude.
Like, I think I
it's
read somewhere
Giannis.
his shooting percentage is like in the 60s, like somewhere between like 60 to 65% from behind the 3. Like, come on. Like, he's shooting. I think somebody played like literally a clip, and it was side by side. It was like him and Siavash's other favorite player, like Chris Middleton, and he just they basically had the exact same shooting form now, and it's disgusting.
Yeah, it's very scary. Scary hours in Milwaukee for sure. But the final guy I want to give recognition to is the guy I was just talking about, Steph Curry. I think with Clay coming back midway through the season, Steph, if he continues the run that he had last year, and then they get a fucking top 4 seed, top 5 seed, it's a wrap. Just give it to Steph. Like, this guy's unreal still.
Jeez. All right. I got a couple of people, and again, both are sitting on a couple of dysfunctional teams right now. So my first pick right now is, I think it's going to be Joel Embiid for that MVP. You know, a lot of things always like happen like with this man, and like I feel like there's always that little asterisk, like, if not for an injury,
Yeah.
Joel Embiid. If not for an injury, Joel Embiid. So I think if he can stay healthy this year, and again with like, depending on what the hell Ben is doing, if Ben is going to be there, Ben is not going to be there, we'll be able to see if Joel can like lead this team, because Joel is definitely I'm going to say probably one of the best like two-way like bigs like out there. Like he's
Sure.
sick. He's amazing. So as long as he can kind of just hold that down without like Ben, and like get the team where they need to be, I think it'll be a very good shot for Joel. And again, as long as he stays healthy. And then my other guy is obviously Kevin Durant. Just kind of see what he can do with like the Brooklyn Nets. See if he can just kind of like take those reins and be like, all right, guys, we're not going to focus on Kyrie. We're going to focus on what's going on here now. We're going to get those wins. We're going to try and see like what we can do. So, but I think at the end of the day, I think I would be going with Embiid.
Yeah, I think you touched on like 2 obvious things when it comes with Joel Embiid. Like, the injuries are a big thing, and the team's performance. Like, I personally believe that Philly's going to be fine without Ben Simmons. Obviously, they're going to make a trade to get an all-star level or a really good player back for Ben Simmons. So I think, and they're going to get it. They're not going to get a piece that doesn't fit Joel's style, right? Like, they're going to get a piece that complements him. But the injury thing is a huge piece. Like, again, going back to my fantasy, I have him in fantasy. I'm hoping a big year, but there's always a risk of an injury when it comes to Joel Embiid. And I like your pick in KD. However, I have this like not weird issue, but like a red flag goes up for me when it comes to a player playing on a team with another like all NBA type player.
Yeah.
I don't know if it ever like I don't know if LeBron would get an MVP with AD there or vice versa, AD with LeBron, because they're two all NBA type players, and I just don't know if they can give one to the other because they complement each other so well.
Didn't Brown win 2 MVPs with D Wade next to him, and he was an All NBA player in Miami while they were winning championships?
I'm talking more about this era because that era is different than right now in terms of awards, like especially an MVP. Because again, when LeBron's been the best player in the league probably up until this past year for the past like 6 years, and how many MVPs has he won? So it's a bit different now, going back to the voter fatigue. But Sivash, how do you feel about Chris's picks? And let us know who you got for MVP this year.
You know, the picks you guys made, I really like all of them. You know, KD,
Thanks, man.
great pick.
Thanks, man.
Giannis, I think, you know, we talk about voters fatigue, but I do think there is a kind of like a renewal with that kind of like, you know, with the, what do you call it? With the publicity you get because of winning. If you remember back to when LeBron won in 2012 and 2013, he was an MVP at the time. I think those things just kind of revamped the fans to root for you a little bit. So with that said, I'm going for a guy that I 100% believe that he deserved to win last year, and that is Stephen Curry. This guy went nuclear last year.
Yeah.
And there's no question in my mind that he can do it again. And if you look at the stats, if you watch those games from last year, there's nobody that could have stopped this guy. And I think there's a lot of players that would have been stopped last year, including the MVP, Jokic. But I think with Steph, the run this guy had was incredible. So I'm picking him again. I think at first he's going to have great numbers similar to last year. And then when they get Clay back, people would think, oh, Clay's going to take a lot of his usage rate away. But I think it's going to be a bit of gravity when Clay steps on the court. And it's going to open the space up for Steph to do what he wants to do.
Yeah, and I think 100%, like the biggest thing that kind of weighed Steph down last year in terms of, you know, getting that MVP was the position, you know, where the Golden State Warriors ended up being just missing the playoffs. So I think this year, like, I think they're a top 4 seed in the West, easy, you know. Yeah, I totally agree. I think Steph can do it. I think it might be the resurgence of MVP Steph. Now, I do have one made up award here. And I want to ask you guys. It's sort of similar to the most improved player, but it's like the bet on it player. One guy that you put all your stock into. If you had $100 right now and you need to flip it to make some cash, you're going into the season, who are you betting on? We know it's not Kristaps Porzingis or Pascal Siakam, so we can automatically just take them out of the conversation. But Chris, who would you say is your bet on it player of the year?
I like bet on it as in like they're going out there, they're getting it done.
Like they've got a low stock right now, and you think that they're gonna kind of prove everyone wrong.
Oh God, that's hard right now.
Easy.
Yeah, pause on that one.
Man.
If you like, I can go first.
Yeah, you go ahead. You go first. See,
This is a super easy pick for me. I'm
Yeah.
going with Ben Simmons.
Going with Ben Simmons.
I know he's got his phone in his pocket during the workout. I know he's leaving before even the huddle ending, and
Not
he's trying to get out
joining
the
it,
gym. Yeah, listen, I can't wait for this guy to get back. I know this whole off season has been a slander season for this guy.
Sure.
Anywhere you go, oh, he can't shoot. Oh, he passed the ball. All respectful. Listen, he did have a mental blunder. He was passing out open shots, fourth quarter. He wasn't doing anything. But I will still put all my money on this guy to prove everybody wrong this coming season, given the opportunity. I don't know what's going to go on with the Sixers situation. He is back with the team. He's training with them, but you never know. You don't know how long it's going to go on for. You don't know if he's actually going to be able to play the games. You don't know if he's going to be at 100% trying because he's not going where he wants to be. But if I had to put my money on him, that's him.
You know what? I like that. I really like that because I wasn't even thinking about Ben Simmons when it came to this because again I'm still thinking he's checked out. He doesn't want to play with Philly. Like yes, he's there, he's practicing, he's got to do what he's got to do, I guess contractually, kind of like right now. But you know, in his heart and his head, he's not there. The bags are at the door. They're just at the training facility waiting. That's why he's got the phone in the pocket. He's waiting for his agent to be like, by the way, you're done with the squad.
Get out of there. Yeah,
you can go now. You can leave. But yeah, I think once he gets somewhere where he's happy again and whatnot, like he's gonna be going nuts in the gym. Absolutely nuts. So yeah, highly agree with you.
I definitely agree that the opportunity is there for Ben Simmons. The player that I'm gonna say, I've got two guys, one more high profile than the other. The one guy I think is probably one of the most underrated players in the league, probably because the market he plays in. De'Aaron Fox. This kid continues to grow and grow and grow and get better and better. I think it's only going to continue this year. People are going to start to notice him a bit more. But Steve Ash, you talked about opportunity and usage when it came to Ben Simmons. The other guy I'm gonna kind of recognize, and it's a bit of a homebody pick, so it's whatever. But is Terrence Mann. With Kawhi Leonard out for basically the whole season or 3/4 of the season, Terrence Mann has a huge opportunity to step in as that number 2 guy alongside Paul George. We saw what he was able to do, in a vacuum in the playoffs. He had a great, second half of his playoffs when he was given that leash and given that opportunity. So I think Terrence Mann, given the opportunity, given the minutes, has a great chance to kind of earn more than what he needed to with his contract. So my guy's Terrence Mann.
I would say save your money on Terrence Mann.
No.
Not because he's a Clipper, not because I like to joke on the Clippers, but mostly because I want you to go back and look at all the sophomore seasons great players had after they had a great rookie season. At that point, teams start planning for them. And Terrence Mann had a great playoffs, and now he's going to be on the radar for every team. Similar to Tyler Herro, when he had a great playoff run, and look at his past season. He was terrible, but now he's going to get past that.
Sure.
Because once the team starts planning for him, he's going to see what it's like, and that's now his choice. Or not really choice, but now it's on him to see if he can get past that bump. Similar to Jason Tatum in his second season, similar to Ja Morant. Ja Morant didn't have an off year, but it was different because the teams were planning for him this past season.
Yeah. That's a good point. I mean, I don't think he's putting up 20 points or anything like that, but yeah, we'll see. But okay, now, Sivash, you have a segment that you want to bring to the forefront to our attention. Introduce it. Let us know the rules and regulations.
There are no rules.
There are no rules.
We just do it. We don't. No rules. We just got to step in here. We just do what we want. This next segment, we're gonna call it "Who Says No." I'm gonna list a bunch of trades for you guys. We're gonna go over them. I'm just gonna propose a trade. You guys tell me which team says no. I'll be honest. There's gonna be a few trades that's gonna hurt you guys' feelings. So just remember, this is hypothetical. Okay?
What's this guy doing here?
Okay? Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. We'll be all right. We'll be all right. Speaking of Ben Simmons, we just spoke about him 2 minutes ago. There's a few Ben Simmons trades in here. So I'm going to go with the first one. This has been talked about a lot all over the internet. And it's including another player who's been going through a controversy right now with the Brooklyn Nets. Ben Simmons and Tyrese Maxey for Kyrie Irving. Who says no? The Sixers or the Nets?
I say the Sixers say no. I say yeah.
How come?
I say the Sixers say no only because, yes, they've had issues with Simmons, but the issues with Simmons are issues they've created with Simmons. And that friction is basically from them. Now I think we've seen the type of guy Kyrie can be. Like, yes, Kyrie can be a great player. Kyrie can definitely perform for you. Kyrie can get that ship going, but Kyrie can also, I think,
Be a cancer.
yeah, be a cancer and hit you with that morale. Just totally take the wind out of your sails as far as the team goes, because he can decide I'm gonna play great for a week, but maybe I'm not gonna show up for 2 weeks because I got other stuff going on and whatnot without telling you, and it just totally cans you. So I feel like now anywhere that Kyrie tries to go, there's always gonna kind of be that like in the back of people's minds.
The guy lights up Sage before stepping on the court. What do you mean?
I know. I mean, say, hey, I guess you're getting all like the duppies and all that stuff out of your stadium and all that bad juju, but
Bad juju.
come on, man.
Yeah, he said duppies. I respect that.
Yeah, no, Chris, I agree with you, man. I think Philly says no. Honestly, more so because I don't know what the state of PA's rules and regulations are around COVID and playing and whatnot. Like, I know there's potentially a change in New York coming with the mayor, which could loosen things for for Kyrie, which is what I've heard. But that's not a certain thing. And then again, you already have if Ben Simmons gets traded to Brooklyn, that is no longer a toxic situation in Brooklyn. Mm-hmm. If Kyrie gets traded to Philadelphia, that's potentially still a toxic situation in Philadelphia. So I would say that Philly says no. I think it's a fine trade if everyone is at the right levels and in the right mojo. I know you said feelings are going to get hurt. Kyrie's your guy, so maybe you started with your own feelings getting hurt to get that.
My feelings are getting hurt.
No feelings hurt over here.
Damn, man.
I'm good.
Kyrie's my guy.
I'm fine.
All I think about is like Kyrie and Joel Embiid pick and roll, man.
It'd be beautiful, but I wonder about the chemistry, right. And I just wonder how it works. Every single team he's gone to, there's been an issue, and it's always had something to do around.
You know what? I get it. See, I'm picturing the Kyrie and Joel pick and roll too, but I think it goes back to you being like, that's a kid playing 2K, brother, making their ultimate lineup, not thinking about, not having to deal with that off court right stuff. Now. So
I'm gonna make
I get it.
On 2K right now.
And I will go 5 for 5 with Chris Boucher from behind the line.
Now, what's your thoughts, Steve Ash? Who says no in your opinion?
No, you guys are making a good point. I would have originally. It's a tough trade because when I provided this list, it's kind of difficult to try to pick one side or the other. A lot of these trades that I actually built, I'm kind of having a hard time deciding myself. But what you guys are making is a good point because I did not consider a lot of the off-court stuff with Kyrie Irving. So I agree with you guys. Okay, next one. This player is right now in a situation where we've spoken about him, and if he doesn't perform this year, or if his team doesn't perform this year, I think we all have a hard time seeing him return to his team, even though he's spoken about it and says he's a homer. What would you guys say if the Knicks trade Julius Randle, Mitchell Robinson, and Emmanuel Quickley for a Karl Anthony Towns?
Wow. Chris, you take it on this one first, because I got to think about that. Emmanuel Quickley, Julius Randle, or maybe I'll just talk through it, Chris, and you can jump in whatever. Emmanuel Quickley, Julius Randle, and Mitchell Robinson for Karl Anthony Towns. So Kat goes to the Knicks to play alongside Kemba and RJ, and Emmanuel Quickley, Julius Randle, and Mitchell Robinson play with Ant and D'Lo. Who says no? Oh, man.
I feel like the Knicks say no.
That's what I was going to say. I don't even know if anybody would say no. That's I think that's a pretty even trade. Sure, the Knicks give up more in terms of assets, but they get the best asset back.
But do they get the best asset back, though? Has he shown he's been the best?
Yeah. Who's better?
That's my
You're telling me Julius Randle is better than Karl Anthony Towns?
I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying
the package.
Looking at the package and looking at the squads that both teams are running with right now, if you were to ask me to bet on who's gonna have a better season, I'm gonna tell you the Knicks have a better season all day, every day, and
I
that's probably been
understand.
for like the last like 3 years.
I understand, but I also think that when you make a trade, whoever gets the best player
Hmm.
wins the trade. Because I don't think that Julius Randle has the same season that he had last year, and his value is at an all-time high. Even actually, it's not even at an all-time high because he didn't even have a good playoffs. So it's a bit lower than it's higher than it was at the start of last season, but it's a bit lower than it was before going into the playoffs. So I think it's that sell high mentality. You have Derrick Rose, you have Kemba. I'm sure they have another guard there, but you're getting rid of Emmanuel quickly, just unclog, like
Hmm.
not clogging that position up there. Mitchell Robinson is a big key for me, and I think maybe he's the least valuable in that trade. I really like Mitchell Robinson. I think he has the potential to be. We're talking Rudy Gobert. Like I think he has the potential to be one of the best defensive centers in the league. To be honest with you, again, that's all projection. You don't know. Um, but then you also got to look at the age. Minus Julius Randle, Mitchell Robinson is under 25. Emmanuel quickly is under 25. Even Julius Randle is probably like what 27. So you're and
Like
again, I'm not
27,
saying
yeah.
Cat is old, but you're getting more assets on a similar timeline. I think Minnesota has a better season than they would keeping Cat, and I think New York probably has a better season than they would keeping that package. I think I love that trade. I don't know where you found that, if you made that up in your head.
I actually came up with it.
Yeah, I would call the offices right now.
Hey.
I
No,
really
you
like
know
that
what
trade.
it is? I would, if I'm in either side in this situation, I would say no if I'm Minnesota. This makes way more sense for the Knicks because you're bringing a top 20 guy into your team, and
And
Knicks,
marketability.
New York is already a big market.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now you have a superstar on your team. You can
And that
definitely pair him
attracts
up
more
with other people.
superstars. Yeah.
Yep, and as you said, when you trade the guy, you're always gonna get less than the team getting them. So look at the past few seasons where they traded a top 20 guy for chump change. James Harden,
Yeah.
Jimmy Butler. You just go down the list. Anthony Davis. I mean, they got a pretty good deal, but with the value, it's not the same.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
100%. That's a really good trade, though.
Yeah.
I really like that, actually. Commends
Thank you,
to you.
Thank you, man.
Okay. This next one is I got a few more, so I'm just gonna try to run
For
through
sure.
a few of them. We just gonna quick fire these. So Pascal Siakam for James Wiseman.
Oh, if I'm with the Warriors, I say no. No,
No,
Yeah.
why?
no. Dude, no. But I have high value.
I know
on
you're
James
high on
Wiseman.
him.
Yeah, you're super
Yeah.
high on Wiseman. That's the thing.
Because
I
the
mean,
thing is, like, and I'm starting to see a pattern in myself. I really respect bigs, like I really respect centers, especially a guy like James Wiseman. I think he's very much a traditional center. He can put up a lot of points for you. He's a great rebounder, and I think he can be a dominant presence in the paint when it comes to distributing the ball as well. Pascal, like, there's just I don't want to touch that. I don't want to touch that.
The only reason I thought of this one is because what you're saying about James Wiseman, I can see it, but he hasn't shown us that.
Sure,
He's still a big question mark,
but
and
he's
he's a young piece.
21.
He is. But you also got to look at the timeline of the Warriors,
mhm.
Fair, but
right?
I would
And
look
they
for
can
somebody
they could have a
else.
good run, huh?
I would look if I would look to try to get Cat. I would make a James Wiseman piece trade to get Cat.
That
I-
would be crazy.
That would be wild. But
that
But I
would be
feel
good.
like Minnesota would
'Cause-
ask for more than just Wiseman.
Oh yeah,
for
you would.
Cat.
You would ask
Yeah.
for Jonathan Kuminga. I think would be in that package, or a Moses Moody, or as my least favorite NBA analyst says, Moody Moses Moody Mosey Kendrick Perkins. I hate him. But I think the package would be around James Wiseman, one of those younger picks, and they also have more undrafted picks as well. So I don't know. Nico
One last
Mannion is
thing.
nice.
I don't think that trade is going to go well for the Warriors because the Wolves did lose on that D'Lo
That's
trade as
true.
well. So
That's
they're
true.
probably going to stick it to them this
Yeah.
time.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Chris, how would you feel about getting James Wiseman on your Raptors?
I would like it. I wouldn't
Yeah,
care.
no
I
doubt
think
you would.
obviously that would free up space. Again, we're gonna touch back
Spinning.
my boy Scotty Barnes. That would free up that position to give him some more playing time, so you'd be able to see what he's able to do. And again, like just thinking about that fucking Australian guy, man. We thought we had it solved with fucking Baines last year.
Oh, yeah.
We got
I
this,
kinda
we
told you
got
that
that because we needed a good solid big just because we haven't really had one. Like yes, Chris Boucher has done very very well, but Chris Boucher is also he's not battling it out down in the paint with some like
He's
the
not a
larger,
natural
bigger
center.
bigs. Exactly. So like to have a guy like Wiseman there again, who is young, very coachable, and the Raptors do develop players very 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 well. I feel like it would be like a win for Wiseman because he could also get that playing time. He'd probably become like a much better player too, like after being developed, and then Siakam can go and do Siakam over in Golden State.
Yeah,
So,
you
know,
get you get Wiseman, you get a top 5 center in the league in like 6 years, 5 years. 100%.
Yeah, and you know what? And then I feel like it also too. It might Golden State might work out a little bit better too because like you have the shooters, you've got other people that are going like defenders are going to be focusing on, and it might free up Siakam like a little bit more, and you know he might just kind of settle into, might become like another Wiggins. He's not giving you like a crazy high amount of points, but he'll still produce those points, and he might have like a night here and there where maybe he'll get you 20 points.
You have a fair point because I think he would be slotted properly. Siakam is nowhere near a number 1. I don't even think he's a number 2. I think he's a number 3 on a championship team. So he would be fit around 3 or 4 on that Warriors team.
Okay. I'm going to go quickly through the next one. It also includes the Warriors.
Loves the Warriors.
Andrew Wiggins and a first-round pick for Kevin Love. Turning back the time clock. Just bringing it back to the 2014 trade.
Andrew Wiggins and a first-round pick for Kevin Love?
Yeah.
If I'm Cleveland, I'd take that in a second.
Yeah, take that in a heartbeat. And we've got, like we already said, Cleveland has so many bigs, they don't know what to do with them.
85 of them.
You've got Kevin Love, who is aging. Like, yes, he is still, like, a great center, but, like, he is not the Kevin Love of old.
And he doesn't want to be there.
Exactly. He doesn't want to be in Cleveland. But, you know, I'm sure he would fit well in Golden State.
Oh, he did perfect.
Yeah. Like, he can still shoot. Like,
Okay, take away the first-round pick. Wiggins for Love straight up.
I would still do that.
If you're the Warriors?
Both sides, yeah.
Yeah.
I think the Warriors would be hard-pressed to give that first. I think that's much more of an even trade. You get more of a positional need. I think you get a guy that fits into the system a bit better, a veteran again on that timeline. There's also some weird things around Wiggins now with everything. I don't know if I don't know if the chemistry is there anymore with everything that's happened in the preseason. So I think that's a good trade, both sides.
Okay. I got a quick one here. A bag of chips.
I knew this guy was going to come in with some disrespect.
a bag of
bro.
chips for Pat. Okay, what are the
So
chips?
who says
flavor?
no? I'm
What
gonna
flavor?
go
What
with
flavor of
the. I'm
chips are
gonna
we
with the
talking?
convenience store guy who's giving up the bag of chips. I don't think he would want Patrick Beverly
You're
out here.
disrespectful. Bro.
Yeah, that's,
You're
come on,
disrespectful, bro.
I'm exactly.
Cheetos. Lay's?
No, not even Cheetos. Maybe some Doritos, or maybe some
Nah,
limited edition
bro. That's
flavor.
I'll be hard. Oh yeah, the ones with the codes.
Maybe something like that. Yeah, give me a
Oh,
COD code
disrespectful,
too with
bro.
him and whatnot. And like, do I also need to give up like my black shoe polish?
Yeah,
No,
well?
no.
Dude, the Timberwolves have to have to give up a first.
The
in that
craziest
trade
thing
for the bag of
is,
chips.
bro, the craziest thing is Patrick Beverly is more a reliable shooter than fucking Pascal Siakam. So let's just remember that.
Hey, I'm not saying anything.
Hey,
I'm not,
bro.
They can
I'm not
spin
dis-
both ways.
Yeah,
You will be a more reliable shooter if nobody's looking at you, bro.
What's that?
You would be a more reliable shooter if no one's looking at you too.
exactly. If I'm giving you 20 open
Yeah.
shots, then you're bound to make a few of those.
Daggers.
So,
Larry Bird
I don't really
form.
call them daggers. I don't know.
Larry Bird.
You know what?
form,
You
buddy.
pull me up a highlight reel of this guy hitting daggers for me.
Larry
alright?
Bird.
Find me.
I'll just
Bobby.
sauce you Larry Bird's mixtape.
I don't want
I
Larry
was
Bird's
kidding with
mixtape.
All right, I got one last one. This one's really recent. Last night was the deadline for the extensions of the 2018 draft. What do you call it?
People, yeah, draftees, prospects.
Draftees, yeah. Thank you for helping me
Prospectors.
on that. So
Minors.
last night at 6 o'clock, the deadline passed, and DeAndre Ayton became the first guy since Anthony Bennett to be the number 1 pick and not get extended as a rookie.
Which is
There
crazy
was
because
a-
they just paid Chris Paul $87 million to stay
Oh.
there, and he's 36 years old.
Brother, they paid Landry Shamet
Yeah,
$43
exactly. That's so
million
disrespectful,
for
That's so
4
disrespectful.
years.
Yeah, that's crazy.
This guy got traded for actually like a few like second round picks, and he got paid $43 million, and they were not willing to give up the max for DeAndre Ayton. Now this trade is a bit out there.
Okay.
If you're the Suns, I don't think you would want to trade him. You will wait it out until the offseason and see, because whatever the max extension they were going to give is not going to be the same if he gets a max from the free agency
Sure.
and they match it.
Sure.
But if they were in a situation that this situation gets a little toxic and they have to trade him because that's the best value they will get at this time for him, who would say no if the Suns traded DeAndre Ayton for Jaren Jackson Jr. and a protected first?
What's the protection?
Top 5.
Jaren Jackson Jr. and a protected top 5 for DeAndre Ayton.
Mm.
That's difficult. That's a difficult trade.
Yeah.
I think the Grizzlies say no.
Grizzlies say no?
Yeah.
No, I don't think the Grizzlies would say no.
Yeah, I think Jaren Jackson, again, we've seen more of DeAndre Ayton, but I think, well, I know Jaren Jackson does more. He is a three-point shooter. He can also rebound. He's a 6'11 big. The only hesitancy I have is that they also have an influx of power forwards or small forward power forwards in Memphis. They have Brandon Clark, who's Canadian. They have Kyle Anderson. They have is it Desmond Bain? I think is there.
Yep.
Yeah. So like they've got a few guys there, and then at center what do they have now? Steven Adams, or is it Valanciunas? I always forget.
Valanciunas.
Steven Adams.
Is it Steven Adams?
Valanciunas went to New Orleans and that's
Yes.
Yes,
That's
that's
right.
right.
That's right. Yeah.
But yeah, so I don't know. It's a fine trade. I don't know. You just know I'm high on Jaren Jackson Jr. I like bigs that can shoot. So
I thought you were higher.
But Jaren
on
Jackson Jr.
Ayton.
though, he just
I love
he's-
DeAndre Ayton. I love DeAndre Ayton. Where I see DeAndre Ayton going if they got a trade out of him, which I think would be nice. You're gonna troll me. Is the Boston Celtics? I think that'd be perfect
Oh my
if he went to
fucking God,
Boston.
bro.
Here we go.
Or the Clippers. I mean, I'll take him down in LA.
Yeah,
but-
just-
You know what?
Things.
We're just gonna have to switch up and get you some Boston gear for your background there. You don't clear them enough.
It's the Larry
Last year
Bird.
was a
It's
Jazz
Larry Bird.
fever. This year's the Celtics fever.
Yeah, I think there's one team I usually try to go all with, throughout. But I don't know. DeAndre Ayton, I don't know that situation because it's the same thing right now with Colin Sexton in Cleveland. They also didn't give him a contract either. So now Colin Sexton's kind of waiting in the wings, trying to figure out what's going to go on with him. I've heard reports about him going to Miami. So I don't know. I don't know if these guys are going to get traded. Like, that's the thing. These are high level prospects.
Yeah.
And if a team's to trade them, kind of stupid because you're, again, not going to get the value. You're going to lose the trade.
Chris, what were you gonna say? We cut you off.
Oh, I was gonna say, and plus, the only thing that worries me with Jaren Jackson Jr. is just, again, much like an Embiid thing, he just needs to kind of stay healthy.
He's had one injury. You can't call that.
No, but
Joel
but
Embiid's been
still,
injured
He
his whole
hasn't been
career.
on the floor.
No, but still, he hasn't been on the floor to
He's
show
been
us.
in the league for 2 years.
Still, you gotta stay healthy, bro.
No.
You get. That's the thing with being fucking injured. You get injured once, and that injury, it can come back. Like you have that potential. Like you blow out your left knee, eventually at some point you're gonna blow out your right knee. It's inevitable. It happens. It always happens. So like he could, you know, knocking on wood. Obviously, I want him to have a good, healthy season. But you know, if he stays out there, he plays like the 70 games. He gets, you know, like 25, 30 minutes, and like really shows people like, yeah, like I'm this guy. Then you know, then obviously I've got no worries about him. But again, it's just we haven't really seen it yet.
Sure.
I get it. Like I'm not saying he's a bad player. He's a phenomenal player.
Definitely
Phenomenal
not.
player.
Definitely not.
But I think that would maybe be like a little thing that might be like, well, you had that. No.
He's played 11 games last season.
Yeah,
and he has never played over 60 games in a season, in a full season. So I do agree that there is. DeAndre Ayton missed over 25 games in his second season because of the. So they're going to their fourth season as of this year.
Yeah, they're both the same draft class, eh?
Yep. So DeAndre Ayton missed 25 games at the start of the season in his second season because he was caught doing some what do you call it? He was doping. Yeah,
that's right.
So, but outside of that, he's been very healthy. Yeah, right.
Criminal.
I would, you know, what Chris is saying would be the reason I would be hesitant to say yes to that from the Suns. For one, yes, you're also trading a big guy, but also Jaren Jackson, you know, I still think he's in that list of names that we see the potential. He has all the tools.
Exactly.
But he still hasn't proved himself.
Exactly.
And up until then, he's going to be all potential. We got a long list of names that were always like potential, and then there's guys that do prove themselves. Guy like Zach LaVine, for years he's been potential, and then he finally proved himself. But then there's a long list of names that never did.
Yeah, however, DeAndre Ayton was in that same conversation last year. You could have had that conversation until he went to the playoffs. You could have been like, well, you don't really know. You haven't really seen anything. So if you give Jaren Jackson Jr. the ability to be in the playoffs, and again, to be healthy in the playoffs and be around, then maybe he's proving people wrong. Because he's a guy that can, you know, we were trolling before about Evan Mobley running the point. He's a guy that can bring the ball up. He's a guy that can shoot from three. DeAndre Ayton doesn't do that. Again, DeAndre Ayton, I would say, is a better defensive player, but I would say Jaren Jackson Jr. is a better offensive player. So I guess it's more so how do they fit into your system? Again, not a bad trade for the Grizzlies because they've got an influx of guys at the 4 as well.
This one, I think because of what happened this offseason, now this one's on pause. But maybe in 6 months, maybe at the end of the season, I think this will be an interesting one with the return of Jamal Murray. MPJ, Michael Porter Jr., we talked about him earlier. He's going to be an interesting player for most improved. And Jamal Murray for Damian Lillard.
Wow.
That's
Who says no?
It's ballsy.
Who says no? I'd probably say Denver.
They get a top 10 guy.
I know, and I know I just made the point of whoever gets the best guy wins, but MPJ, bro, like, this kid's fucking good, dude. And he's like, what, 23?
Yeah,
he's 6'10". He plays the small, he plays the power, and he plays the shooting guard position. He shoots the lights out from 3, almost a 50% shooter from 3. He can rebound. He can play make. Like, he's so good. I know you're getting Damian Lillard, but, like, I don't know. You're upgrading at the point guard position, but you're also losing a guy that could be a number 1 alongside. Like, imagine having at his prime MPJ and Jokic. That's disgusting.
But imagine having at their prime Lillard and Jokic.
But that's it.
And then I feel like
again, I agree. Like, he's an unreal player. I'm you know me and Lillard. Like, I love Damian Lillard, but like, I don't know, man.
But then I feel like too, also your time is kind of limited with like Lillard and Jokic. Like, your window's a little smaller than MPJ and Jokic and whatnot. So.
Wait, you're saying the time is smaller with MPJ and Jokic?
No, like you have a larger window. Like, you have a larger window to win and win more.
I think you have an opportunity to transition. You know, similar to, like, different in ages, but I guess if we look in the future, it'd probably be similar.
Yeah.
Let's look at LeBron and AD. Like 2 years ago, it was LeBron's team. I would say this year it's AD's team. So you give that opportunity to transition, pass the torch, pass the mantle. You give that opportunity for Jokic to pass it to MPJ. Again, that's years down the line, but having that creates longevity within your franchise, allows you to stay competitive, which also brings in more money and keeps you at a high level. Again, I agree. Damian Lillard and Jokic would be disgusting, and you could quite potentially win a championship this year or next year, whenever it happens. But after that 3, maybe max 4-year window closes, it's closed.
All I keep thinking about is, because if you watch that series against Portland against the Nuggets, all you saw was Jokic and MPJ. MPJ did great, but it was mostly Jokic just using and abusing the offense and just getting the ball to open role players. And on the other side was Dame just creating on his own. And I just want to see that, and maybe I got to go on 2K maybe to see this, but I want to see that Dame and Jokic and just role players around them, and see teams try to figure out who they're going to leave open, because Jokic is going to get that person the ball.
Yeah, that would be an interesting trade. That would definitely be an interesting combo to see.
I want to revisit this at the end of the season with how well MPJ is going to progress. Maybe how well Dame Lillard is going to progress. But I would love to revisit this at the end of the season.
100%.
Definitely.
Okay.
So there you have it. That was our 97-98 championship episode. That was our final third episode in our three-peat. A little 1-2-3 package for people to start the season. We'll be back on a regular weekly scheduled basis, dropping episodes talking about current events in the NBA, current events in basketball, and I think maybe we'll bring back trivia. See if Ash can wipe the floor with me in trivia. We'll definitely do some more drafts. I know we had a lot of good content with the drafts, as well as maybe even ranking this year's top 10 in each position. We'll talk about that and discuss that in a bit more depth. But until next week,